Hi, my name's Carolyn Trant, and I exhibit regularly at Babe, so some of you may know my woodcut books. Last year I showed some cartoneras, which I was starting to make, inspired by the South American one. There's one on the left, that was the one on the right, was one of the first ones. They're traditionally a way of making topical political comment, and they're also very ecological because they use packaging material for the covers. And the theme of the work I've done over the last year has been very much using up things around the house, strips of paper from previous projects. So I'm going to talk you through three main woodcut books I made, and their cartonera versions as well. This is the first one, called Map of Lost Cuckoos, and it's looking at British wildlife and things that are birds and beasties heading for extinction or decline, naming them. You can see that I was very much inspired by Extinction Rebellion and their lovely graffiti and posters and slogans. So there's the Cartonera version has some articles, the woodcuts printed over articles about ecological matters. The second book of the trilogy is called Ship of Fools, and it references Sebastian Brandt, who was a medieval writer who wrote the original Ship of Fools, a sort of morality tale really, and all about folly. This was mostly about flooding and the terrible bushfires that there were around about 2018-2019. And these versions on good paper are made with covers. I had quite a lot of fun collaging quite three-dimensional things. Each one is different. Some of the covers are very, very three-dimensional. I live in a town where the river does flood quite often, and so I'm quite used to seeing a lot of debris in the river. I actually found a little plastic fool which I painted and actually managed to stick on with all the debris. So there's a cartonera version of this one as well, with different images in, showing flooding of houses, and again printed over newspaper articles. Then it was the third, naturally followed on, again a literary reference, Fool Gets Sick, Journal of the Plague Year. I do feel that it's quite a good way of mediating topical events, referencing these medieval and later existing stories. I was taking cartoneras to a new place for myself by actually sheen collating, or gluing as we might say in English, the newspaper articles onto good paper and printed on top. And it's a really lovely surface to print on. Of course, interesting serendipitous lettering comes through. That was a map of COVID hotspots, lovely colouring I liked. This is one where you can see that people have been writing in the sand in the photograph behind, supporting health workers. Here's poor Fool getting sicker and sicker, possibly heading off to the great blue yonder, or hopefully being saved by health workers. And here on the floor are some extra pages. Each book's going to be different, so it's just demonstrating how the image looks very different, each woodcut, when it's on top of different pieces of newspaper. So there won't be a cartonera version of that. It exists as it is. Meanwhile, doing all that, I was also making sets of tarot cards, and these are tarot as in the sense of they're cards that fit in your hand, a set of ideas, things to contemplate, shuffle around, make different stories for yourself. And this one obviously represents water and the Ship of Fools. This one is from the Fool Gets Sick set, and the idea is that structures are really useful again in times of crisis. So we've got water. This could be said to represent air, pestilence in the air. And this third set could be said to represent earth. It's called the kindness of trees, and I'm very, very passionate about trees, and these images are based on local trees that I know and love from my sanity preserving walks in lockdown. So these are my own personal tree guardians. And then, serendipitously as it happened, I work with the poet James Simpson, and he wanted to work with me. He'd made a set of, as it happened, 22 images. Those are the number of the major arcana, the images and picture cards of the tarot pack. And he'd made a series called Blind Tiger on topical ecological issues. And so I thought this was best represented by looking at Circus, which to me is very much about fire. It's called The Little Circus in the Forest. It's a concertina book, triple layered. It's nice. It does all fold down flat. I'm going to be making some more versions with some of the other cards, which may be a bit smaller. Animals jump through fire, people are shot out of cannons, women are cut in half. There's a lot about tormenting animals and women in Circus. There's somebody having knives, throw flaming knives thrown at her, so women are pretty tough in the circumstances. There's a lot about balance, and there's also a lot of general craziness, which I feel is all one can do in such times. I like the Mexican approach to life and death, really, is all you can do is laugh at it. So I hope there's a sort of dark humour in everything that I'm doing here. This is a development of the set of cards, and James and I are working on a book which has the words and the images together, which I feel is very important because the images were very much designed to go with the words. This is my blog. I've been keeping for first 3 months last year. I kept a daily diary, and there's a lot of writing on there about the background to all this work, so if you're interested, do check it out. And I really look forward to seeing everybody and discussing ideas again in person, in real time and space. But meanwhile, thank you for listening.